or should I say, bonjour, and welcome to another episode of Almost Martha. I'm feeling very Frenchy these days. Last week I made a quiche Lorraine, and this week I'm going to be making steak au poivre because we are going to be going to France for a little vacation in the upcoming weeks, and I'm very excited to go. I'm even going to take a cooking class while I'm there, so hopefully I'll get to share that with you. But for today, we're going to do a real French classic, and that is steak au poivre. And the ingredients are really very simple. You can do 4 fillets, you can do 2 strips, and you're going to need a little cognac, about 1/3 of a cup of cognac, 2 tablespoons of peppercorns, and today I'm using rainbow peppercorns, so that should be interesting. And we have 1 cup of heavy cream, 1 tablespoon of unsalted butter, and of course we have our salt. So the first thing I'm going to do is salt the steaks and make sure, this is that wonderful pink Himalayan salt I've talked about before. I'm going to salt the steaks pretty generously, flip them over. I'm salting both sides. And these steaks are about 1.5 inches thick, and that is really just about perfect. So about 1.5 inches. And make sure you get all of that steak nice and salted. Perfect. So the next thing we have to do is really deal with the peppercorns. And there's a couple ways you can do this. You can use a heavy mallet and you can, beat them one at a time. I'm going to try something a little different. I'm going to put the peppercorns in my trusty plastic bag. I'm going to crush them with my cast iron pen. So this is a Le Creuset, nice and heavy. Grind that down. If you have a mortar and pestle, you can use that. Or you can take a little mallet and crush those peppercorns until they have a nice coarse consistency. Perfect. All right, now I've got my peppercorns nice and crushed. And remember, I'm doing it in a plastic bag so I can see it. So if you need to pound a couple in there a little more, you can certainly do that. And you can grab your kitchen mallet or something nice and sturdy to pound those few that didn't get quite crushed. So now I'm putting my pepper on my plate. Now I'm just gonna roll the steak in the peppercorns. We want them to adhere. Kind of stick them to that steak a little bit. It is a spicy dish, so if you don't like spice, this may not be the dish for you, but this is a classic. This is one of the very first things I had at a visit to a French restaurant when I first tried French cuisine, and boy, did I love it. Okay, so now I have my 2 steaks encrusted in peppercorns. And now we're going to move over to the stove. I've added my 1 tablespoon of unsalted butter to the pan, and it has melted. And now I'm going to add about 1 tablespoon of olive oil because that will help to keep that butter from burning and smoking, right? So I am about ready to add my steaks. Starting to pop just a little bit. Add just a touch more. There we go. Okay. Now, when you put your steaks in the pan, that's what I was looking for. I was looking for that nice sizzle, right? When you put your steaks in your pan, make sure that you've got plenty of room. So if you are doing 4 fillets, make sure you've got plenty of room, between the steaks so they can cook very nicely. And we're going to cook these for about 4 minutes each side gives us about medium rare. So it's really up to you how long you want to cook the steaks, how well or not well you like them. So we're going to give those about 4 minutes. All right, my steaks have reached the appropriate doneness. So I flip them once over. So it's 4 minutes on each side, right? Now I'm going to turn my heat down just a tad, because now we come to the exciting part of our program where we're going to add our cognac to the skillet. This is called, you're deglazing the pan at this point, right? You're also cooking out the alcohol. You want that to be absorbed into the air. I'm going to sneak in an extra ingredient because I really like a little mustard in this sauce. So it might not be as classic as some, but boy, the mustard really does add something to it. Now, there are a lot of people who would take a flame and flambe that cognac, but by all accounts, and I tend to believe it, is that if you reduce the cognac down instead, you really get a more intense flavor, but the alcohol is still burned out. So that's what we're looking for. All right, I have turned the heat down. Of course, the pan is still hot, so. Okay. Let that reduce. I think it's doing a good job reducing. And we've got still a little bit of that butter in there. We've got some of that steak jus. It's really going to make this sauce terrific. Okay. I think we're good. Now I'm going to add my 1 cup of heavy cream. Oh, that's the color I was going for right there. And now we're going to bring this to a slight boil, and then we're going to let it reduce as well. And you'll see in the pan there are pieces of peppercorn that came off the steak that we cooked. And as you're waiting for this to cook, you can just put a little piece of aluminum foil over your steak to keep them slightly warm while they're resting. And this usually takes about 3 or 4 minutes. So we'll check back in with that after my sauce is reduced a bit. And here we have our sauce. It's cooked down. You can see it's coating a spoon really nicely. That means it's done. I'm just going to take the steaks. I'm going to put them in the sauce. I want them kind of coated in here. And then we'll be ready to plate them and enjoy them. And now it's time for the best part, which is getting ready to plate our lovely steak au poivre meal so we can enjoy it. Take a little of this sauce and just put it over the top. Lovely. And what is a steak in France without the frites? So we're going to have a few frites on the plate. I'm going to have an endive and a beautiful little salad here with gorgonzola, radicchio. It's a lovely thing. So whether you make it to Paris or not this year, you can have a little bit of Paris right at home by making yourself a little steak au poivre. Enjoy, everyone. And don't forget to go to almost-martha.com for the entire recipe. And hi, Mom. Bonsoir. I'll see you next time.